Ihan and Elena happy in the wild. Mount Zeta rises majestically and mysteriously in the heart of a little-known region, covered by a dense and rich forest. The forest surrounding the valley of Mount Zeta is a place of wild and mysterious beauty. Located more than 200 kilometers from the nearest village, this vast expanse of virgin nature has not been explored by humans, remaining untouched and safe from the influences of modern civilization. The forest in the valley of Mount Zeta is dense and rich, with an impressive biodiversity. At such a distance from any human settlement, the forest is a true closed ecosystem, where nature reigns supreme. Wild trails are rare and difficult to identify, hidden under a thick carpet of leaves and vegetation. This mountain is more than a simple geographical relief. It is a sanctuary of nature, a place of tranquility and peace, where time seems to stand still. In a hidden cave, located deep in the heart of the mountain, lives a man named Ihan, who has chosen to retreat away from the hustle and bustle of the modern world. The forest in the valley of Mount Zeta is a place of great natural beauty and diversity, a true sanctuary of nature that changes radically depending on the season. In a unique cycle, summer and winter last for 6 months each, offering contrasting and fascinating landscapes. During the summer, which stretches for a period of 6 months, the forest in the valley of Mount Zeta is a veritable green paradise. The vegetation is dense and lush, with tall trees and rich foliage forming a shady canopy above the ground. Wild flowers litter the forest floor, adding a burst of color. Flower species such as wild lilies, daisies, and bluebells are found in abundance. The predominant trees are oaks, beeches, and firs, which provide shade and coolness even on the hottest summer days. Vines and climbing plants twine around the tree trunks, and ferns and mosses cover the ground, keeping the soil moist. Berries, such as raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries, grow in dense thickets, providing food for both wildlife and Ihan. At this time, the forest is alive with medicinal plants such as St. John's wort, echinacea, and lavender grow in abundance, providing valuable resources. For the hermit, in summer, the forest is vibrant and lively, with many species of animals living and thriving in this habitat. Songbirds such as blackbirds, thrushes, and warblers fill the air with their melodious trills. Small mammals, such as squirrels and hares, are often seen running through the trees and bushes. Larger species, such as deer and wild boar, can be seen at the edge of the forest, coming to water at the springs and rivers that cross the valley. During this period, the animals are active and full of energy, enjoying the abundance of food and the friendly climate. The climate during the summer is warm and pleasant, with temperatures varying between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius. Summer rains are frequent, keeping the vegetation green and healthy. The sky is usually clear, with the sun shining through the leaves of the trees, creating a play of light and shadow on the forest floor. The air is scented with the aroma of flowers and aromatic plants, offering an intense sensory experience to anyone who enters this natural paradise. Winter in the valley of Mount Zeta is a spectacle of silence and white beauty. The transformation of the forest during the 6 months of winter is dramatic, every corner of nature being covered by a thick layer of snow. Tall trees, now leafless, loom like dark skeletons against the pristine white background of snow. Conifers, such as firs and pines, retain their characteristic green, providing splashes of color in the white landscape. Lianas and ferns are covered in ice and snow, adding an enchanting aspect to the forest. The berry bushes are covered in a thin layer of ice, and the perennials are hidden under the snow, preparing for rebirth in the spring. The vegetation is mostly dormant, conserving its energy for the growing season. During the winter, animal activity decreases significantly. Migratory birds have left for warmer places, and those that remain, such as titmouses and woodpeckers, are rare and difficult to spot. Small mammals, such as squirrels and hedgehogs, hibernate or limit their activity to a minimum. However, tracks in the snow betray the presence of larger animals. Wolves and foxes patrol the forest in search of food, and deer and wild boar rarely venture out in search of food. Bears, on the other hand, hibernate in their dens, waiting for spring to come. Winter brings Temperatures low, which can often drop below -10 degrees Celsius. Snow covers everything, and the landscape seems to be frozen in a profound stillness. Cold winds blow through the trees, creating a distinctive rustling and hissing sound. When it snows, snowflakes fall slowly, covering everything with a fresh and fluffy layer of white. The air is clean and cold, and on clear days, the sky is deep blue, contrasting strongly with the white of the snow. At night, the sky is filled with bright stars and the moon illuminates the forest, creating a fairy tale landscape. For Ihan, each season brings different challenges and opportunities. Summer is the time of abundance and intense activity, when they gather supplies and enjoy the diversity of life in the forest. Winter, on the other hand, is a time of reflection and adaptation, as he uses his gathered resources and finds ways to keep himself warm and fed. Ihan has learned to appreciate the beauty of each season, finding joy and peace in the cyclical changes of nature. During the summer, he enjoys exploring the forest, picking fruits, and interactions with friendly animals. In winter, he spends more time in his cave, meditating. Ara River. The Ara River is a natural jewel that meanders through the dense forest in the valley of Mount Zeta, offering a remarkable visual spectacle seen from Jaima Cave, located at an altitude of 700 meters. The Ara River adds an element of dynamism and life to the natural landscape. Every morning, Ihan sits on the plateau in front of the cave and looks at the river flowing majestically through the valley, giving him a moment of peace and contemplation. During the summer, the Ara River is vibrant and full of life. Fed by the melting snow from the high peaks of mountain and frequent rains, the Ara flows with a soothing but steady force. Its water is clear, reflecting the blue sky and the green of the forest, and creates a fascinating play of light and shadow on its surface. The banks of the river are covered with lush vegetation. The ferns and mosses grow in abundance, and willows and hazels stretch their branches close to the water, creating a picturesque setting. Wildflowers such as irises and water lilies add splashes of vibrant color, while reeds and reeds provide shelter for various species of animals, fauna in and around the river. Ara is a magnet for wildlife. Fish such as trout and grayling swim in its clear waters, attracting gulls and herons that come to feed. On the riverbanks, squirrels, raccoons, and even deer venture out to water and enjoy the coolness of the water. Insects, from dragonflies to butterflies, dance above the water, contributing to the natural symphony of the place. Every summer morning, Ihan watches the sun rise above the forest, gradually illuminating the Ara River. The sun's rays reflect on the surface of the water, creating a golden glow that fills the valley with a gentle warmth. The air is fresh and fragrant with the aroma of flowers and plants on the banks of the river, and the sound of running water adds a soothing background to the idyllic landscape. Winter brings a spectacular transformation of the Ara River. The landscape changes completely, and the river wears a coat of ice and snow that gives it a magical and enchanting appearance. The clear water of the Ara River slows down and partially freezes during winter. The ice that forms along the banks and on the surface of the river creates geometric shapes and fascinating natural sculptures. On milder days, the water continues to flow under the ice sheet, producing subtle and harmonious sounds. In winter, the vegetation on the river banks is covered by a thick layer of snow. The trees are loaded with snow, and their branches seem to bend under its weight. The reeds and reeds also bend under the weight of the snow, forming natural tunnels along the banks. Animal activity decreases, but their tracks in the snow are evidence of their continued presence. Deer and wild boar occasionally come to drink water from the unfrozen portions of the river. Foxes and hares leave their tracks in the snow as they forage. Birds such as woodpeckers and plovers are rare and precious in the white and quiet landscape. On winter mornings, Ihan enjoys a quiet and almost motionless landscape. The sky is often pale blue or covered with winter clouds, and the sunrise brings a soft, diffuse light that dresses the landscape in a dreamlike aura. The air is cold and sharp, and Ihan's breath turns into little clouds of steam. The sound of the river is quieter, but its continued presence is comforting. The sight of the Ara River is a constant source of inspiration and tranquility for Ihan. Every morning, the landscape, gives him an opportunity to reflect and connect with the surrounding nature. In the summer, he is invigorated by the energy and abundance of life around the river, and in the winter, he finds peace and calm in the quiet and white landscape. The plateau in front of the Jaima Cave, located 700 meters above the valley, offers an ideal observation point. From here, Ihan can see the entire course of the Era River, surrounded by dense forest. This view reminds him daily of the power and beauty of nature, giving him a deep sense of gratitude and humility. The Era River, with its seasonal transformations and spectacular landscapes, represents the living heart of the Zeta Mountain Valley. Its view, seen from the Jaima Cave, offers to Ihan an unparalleled natural spectacle. Jaima Cave. Jaima Cave is spacious and well-ventilated, with a wide opening that offers a panoramic view of the valley and the Era River. The interior of the cave is cool in summer and provides protection from the cold in winter. Ihan used simple tools, such as a chisel and a hammer, to carve various functional areas in the hard stone of the cave, transforming it into a welcoming dwelling. The kitchen is a small but well-organized space, located close to the entrance of the cave to allow smoke ventilation. Ihan dug some shelves into the stone walls to store dishes and provisions. A special niche serves as a hearth, where Ihan built a simple hearth for cooking. A small chimney carved into the rock ensures the escape of smoke. Ihan uses clay pots and pans. Food is kept in sealed containers to prevent it from attracting wild animals. During the summer, he supplies himself with wild fruits, vegetables, and herbs, which he preserves for the winter by drying or preserving. Ihan's bedroom is located in the deeper part of the cave, where the temperature is constant and the sound is attenuated, giving it a quiet place to rest. Its bed is a simple structure, carved directly into the stone and covered with layers of straw, moss, and blankets to provide thermal comfort. The wall behind the bed has carved niches for storing personal items. Ihan carved small ventilation windows in the cave walls, which allow air circulation and bring diffused light during the day. For lighting at night, he uses the Moego lamp. This lamp was created from a piece of triangular crystal discovered by Ihan when he arranged the cave to turn it into a living house point. One of the most ingenious elements of the Jaima Cave is the stone door, a massive piece of rock carved by Ihan. This door is mounted on a channel dug into the floor and ceiling of the cave, allowing it to be moved easily to close or open the cave entrance. The channel in which the door moves is precise enough to allow smooth movement, but also tight enough to ensure a tight closure. Ihan created wooden and stone handles to facilitate the movement of the door. This system provides Ihan with protection from the elements of nature and possible dangers from outside, giving him a sense of security and privacy. Another part of the cave, Ihan carved a series of shelves and niches for storing supplies and tools. These spaces are well organized, allowing him to store food, firewood, and tools in an efficient and accessible way. Close to opening of the cave, Ihan set up a space for meditation. Here, on a carpet of soft moss, he spends time in prayer and reflection, enjoying the spectacular view of the Era River and the valley below. This place is simply decorated with some stones and natural objects that bring him peace and inspiration. In addition to ventilation windows, Ihan carved small openings in the cave walls to allow natural light to enter. These are oriented to maximize sunlight during the day. Jaima Cave reflects the personality and Ihan's lifestyle. Every corner of the cave is laid out with care and ingenuity, using the natural resources available. The atmosphere in the cave is one of calm and simplicity, a sanctuary that offers Ihan a safe and comfortable refuge away from the tumult of the world. Modern. This modest but functional dwelling, carved into the rock of the mountain, is a testimony to Ihan's skills and dedication. The Jaima Cave is not only a place of shelter, but also a symbol of a deep connection with nature and a life lived in harmony with the environment surrounding. Each day spent here brings Ihan a new understanding of the simplicity, self-sufficiency, and beauty of life lived in the midst of nature. Unspeakable friends. Ihan, from the Jaima Cave on Zeta Mountain, found his faithful companions in the wild animals of the forest. In the absence of humans, these creatures become reliable friends and silent companions, bringing joy and comfort to his solitary life. One of the closest to Ihan's friend is a fox with bright red fur, whom Ihan named Esme. Esme appeared near the cave since she was a cub, and she was left without her mother. And Ihan was always careful not to scare her. In time, the fox got used to his presence and even often comes to visit him, sitting quietly near him, even when he is preparing the food. A very childish relationship has formed between the two. Squirrels are ordinary inhabitants of the forest, but a few of them seem to have developed a special curiosity for Ihan. They come close to the Jaima cave, often jumping through the branches and down the rocks to procure the nuts and seeds which Ihan leaves around his dwelling. These squirrels give him moments of relaxation with their acrobatic games. Remy the stag, a big and proud stag, is a regular presence. The stag, with imposing antlers and gentle gaze, has become a quiet companion for Ihan. In the rare moments of peace absolute, Ihan can see him walking gracefully through the forest, and his presence is a symbol of freedom and the beauty of unspoiled nature. Night, the owl Cleo, with particularly beautiful plumage, sits on a branch near the entrance of the cave. This owl has become a sign of the passing of time to Ihan, with her soothing nocturnal sounds and penetrating gaze. Ihan considers her a silent guardian of the cave and a symbol of wisdom and vigilance. There's a winding and well-hidden path that descends from Mount Zeta, passing through the forest and reaching the Era River. This path is frequently used by the Ihan to reach his fishing and hunting grounds. The path begins near the Jaima cave and winds through the forest, being covered by a thick carpet of leaves and vegetation. As it descends, the path becomes wider and better defined, passing old trees, bushes, and hidden clearings. The vegetation is dense, providing shelter and shade along the entire length of the path. Along the path, Ihan memorized natural landmarks, such as would-be rocks with unusual shapes, trees with distinct trunks, and small springs that join the Era River. These landmarks help him orientate even in the darkest nights or thickest fog. During his travels on this path, Ihan often encounters traces of wildlife. Tracks of deer, boars, and rabbits are frequent, and the sound of birds and insects add a natural symphony to the background. Sometimes, he also spots the fleeing silhouettes of larger animals, such as wolves or bears, but they avoid direct contact with him. At the end of the path, Ihan reaches the banks of the Era River, where he has set up specific places for fishing and hunting. Ihan uses simple, handmade equipment for fishing. Braided hemp serves as fishing line, and the hooks are made of bone or metal. Natural baits, such as worms and insects, are his favorites. The Era River is rich in fish such as trout and grayling. Ihan fishes patiently, respecting nature and taking only what he needs for food. Fishing not only provides him with food, but also moments of peace and meditation as he watches the clear water flow between the stones. Ihan uses simple traps and handmade bows for hunting. The traps are strategically placed along the paths of small animals, such as bee rabbits and squirrels. Carefully crafted bows and arrows are used for larger game such as deer or wild boar. Ihan hunts with a deep respect for nature, taking only what he needs and making sure not to disturb the balance ecological. He uses everything from his game, the skin for clothing and shelter, the meat for food, and the bones for tools or art. The isolated forest of Mount Zeta, with its secret path and rich fauna, provides Ihan with a sufficient lifestyle. The path that descends to the Era River and its fishing and hunting grounds are essential to its existence. Every day spent in this wild and beautiful forest deepens its connection with nature, giving it peace, inspiration, and a deep sense of belonging to this unparalleled natural landscape. The river the Era, which flows through the valley of Mount Zeta, is a vital element in Ihan's life. From peaceful fishing on its banks to explorations upstream, the river is not only a source of food and water, but also a constant companion in his solitude. Ihan's road upstream, to the place where the river springs, is a journey of discovery, reflection, and deep connection with nature. Upstream expedition. Ihan is a man of nature, and every expedition requires careful preparation. Before starting upstream, he prepares a simple backpack in which he puts some essential supplies in order to survive during the journey. He takes with him fishing hooks made of animal bone, hemp thread, some traps, and his bow with arrows, dried fruits, nuts, and smoked meat, all kept in leather bags, easy to carry, warm clothes, and sturdy shoes to cope with different weather conditions and rugged terrain, a multi-purpose knife, a flame, and a few pieces of rope. As Ihan follows the course of the Era River upstream, the scenery gradually changes. The forest becomes more and more dense, and the ground more rocky and uneven. The vegetation diversifies, and rare and beautiful plant species appear on the water's edge. At the beginning, the road is guarded by oaks and beeches. As it climbs, these are gradually replaced by pines and firs, adaptable to higher altitudes, alpine flowers and grasses. At higher altitudes, the flora becomes more specific to alpine areas, with small and resistant flowers such as cornflower and gentian, lichens and mosses along the wet rocks along the river. Ihan notices moss and lichen clinging to the rocky surfaces, adding a subtle beauty to the landscape. Fauna observed. Along his journey, Ihan encounters various wild animals that make an appearance on the river banks. Birds of water, wild ducks and herons are often seen fishing in the calm waters of the river. Deer, bears, and wild boars are common in this area, and Ihan uses his tracking skills to observe without disturbing. Insects and fish, dragonflies, butterflies, and the fish in the river add vitality and color to the landscape. On the first day, Ihan leaves the Jaima cave early in the morning, enjoying the fresh air and the coolness of the morning. The initial road is familiar and easy, as he has traveled it many times to his fishing spots. He crosses the dense forest, guided by the constant sound of the Era River. Along the way, he takes short breaks to fish and refresh his supplies. In the evening, he reaches an open clearing where he sets up a simple shelter and rests by the fire. The second day brings more difficult and rugged terrain. As he climbs, the forest becomes sparser and rockier, and the Era River becomes a tumultuous stream. Ihan carefully navigates through the slippery rocks and alpine meadows, where the air becomes thinner and colder. In this area, he meets and follows tracks of black goats and marmots. On the third day, the road becomes the most difficult, but also the most exciting. Ihan climbs higher, on a steep and rugged terrain. The vegetation is now limited to small bushes and alpine grasses. As it approaches the spring, the stream becomes smaller and clearer, until it reaches a small waterfall that pours from a rocky wall. The spring of the Era River is a source of pure water, which infiltrates from the mountain, forming the river that feeds the entire valley. The source of the Era River is located in a hidden and picturesque place at a considerable altitude. Here, the water flows from a crack in the rock, forming a small waterfall that flows into a natural pool. The vegetation around the spring is sparse, dominated by lichens, mosses, and a few alpine flowers. Birds and insects are rare here, but Ihan often notices tracks of animals that come to drink water from the spring. The plane crash. After spending a peaceful day at the source of the Era River, Ihan begins his return journey to Jaima Cave. As he descends through the familiar landscape, his mind is occupied with thoughts of the beauty and tranquility of Mount Zeta. However, an unexpected event changes them completely. The course of the journey. As he descends the mountain, Ihan hears an unusual noise, an engine sound that rapidly intensifies, followed by a loud impact noise. Looking up, he sees a small plane crashing not too far away. Without wasting time, Ihan quickly heads towards the crash site, guided by the thick smoke rising from the wreckage. Arriving at the crash site, Ihan sees the crashed plane, severely damaged. Despite his precarious condition, he remains calm and focused on finding survivors. Fire and smoke are immediate dangers, but Ihan approaches cautiously, calling out to see if anyone answers. After a few minutes of searching, Ihan finds a young woman in her 30s, conscious but seriously injured. The woman was of captivating beauty, with blonde hair that shone in the sun's rays and blue eyes that seemed to reflect the clear sky. Dressed in elegant office clothes, the contrast between the sophisticated outfit and the wild nature was striking. The fine materials of her costume showed that she was a woman of the world, accustomed to luxury and comfort. Ihan approached carefully, noting the exquisite details of her clothes and the discreet but precious jewelry. This was clearly a woman of wealth, but now, in a vulnerable state, she needed his help. She has several cuts and bruises, and her right leg appears to be fractured. The girl, shocked and painfully injured, answers in a weak voice. Ihan uses all his first aid knowledge to stabilize the condition. Improvises a leg splint using branches and rope. Ihan creates an improvised splint to immobilize the fractured leg, cleans the wounds. With water from the Era River and medicinal plants from the area, he cleans and disinfects the cuts. Ihan talks to her reassuringly, explaining that he will take her to a safe place and take care of her. Ihan knows they can't stay at the crash site too long because of the fire risk and potential dangers in the forest. With much care and effort, he manages to transport the young woman back to the Jaima cave, using a makeshift harness made of blankets and ropes to ease her pain and protect her as much as possible. Arriving at the Jaima cave, Ihan places the young woman on his bed, leaves and furs, setting up a cozy and warm corner for her. He continues to treat her wounds, using all available resources. He applies herbal compresses to reduce inflammation and prevent infection. He gives her fresh water and nutritious food, such as the vegetable soup and the fresh fruit he has in the cave. After he brought the injured woman to the cave and gave her medical care, for 2 days the girl slept deeply and Ihan watched over her, but at the same time several questions appeared in his mind. Who is this woman I found? She is in serious condition, but I managed to stabilize her. I have never seen someone so refined here in the wild. Do you realize what story it must have? Look how she is dressed. She is clearly not used to life here. I wonder who she is and what she was doing in the area. I guess I'll know more when she recovers. For now, I have to help her recover. It's clear she needs me. Ihan approached the injured woman and studied her delicate and beautiful features. Despite her injuries, her beauty remained unaltered. It's incredible how fragile and strong she seems at the same time. Her clothes, jewelry, everything suggests that she comes from a very rich family. Yes, it's like she landed from another universe, but now she's here in my care. I'll do everything I can to help her. After a few days, the woman began to recover and be aware of her surroundings. With a weak voice, she began to speak. Where am I? What happened? You are safe. I found you after your plane crashed. I brought you here to my cave and took care of you. Thank you. I'm Elena. I'm grateful for everything you've done. The plane belonged to my family. My name is Ihan, and now you are in my house. Elena and Ihan exchanged a fleeting glance, realizing that their lives had crossed at an unexpected moment for both of them. Yes, take your time. Getting better is the most important thing now. As the days pass, Ihan devotedly cares for the young woman, making sure that her wounds heal and that she receives all the support she needs. During this time, the two begin to talk and get to know each other better. The girl tells her about her life before the accident, and Ihan shares with her fragments of his solitary life on Zeta Mountain. Between Ihan and the young woman, a deep connection based on attachment and friendship is formed. Being close in age, she is grateful for the care and protection she offers him, and Ihan finds in her presence an unexpected and pleasant company. They learn from each other and share moments of silence and reflection in the Jaima cave, surrounded by nature wild of Mount Zeta. Ihan and Elena. Ihan noticed that despite her injuries, she is a strong and lively person. She tells him about her passion for nature, about her trips and adventures in wild places, and how she ended up in the plane that crashed. When Elena begins to feel better, she is more and more impressed by the Jaima cave and the simple but profound life that Ihan leads there. The cave, with its kitchen, bedroom, and stone door created by Ihan, seems to her a magical place and full of harmony with nature. She notices how Ihan lives in balance with the environment, using nature's resources without depleting or destroying them. After a few days of recovery, Elena makes an important decision. She feels that Jaima Cave and Ihan's company offers a perfect refuge and a unique opportunity to connect more deeply with nature.